welcome to CINEMATICON EX MORTIS, the horror movie discussion podcast hosted by Kenny and
Heather.
And today, we're not watching anything. Woo! It's our day off.
Okay, but we had to do more work than usual. I had to do more work than usual.
Yeah, I guess it depends how you measure it. So instead of watching a movie this time, because we've done 10 episodes where we watched movies, we decided we want to rank the 10 movies that we've watched so far in terms of a bunch of different criteria, and hopefully that'll be entertaining for you to hear. So the first category is, this is the easiest one, favorite to least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to start,
No,
Heather?
I want you to go first.
Okay.
Because I think yours is going to be the exact opposite of mine. That's my prediction.
Let's see.
Okay.
So number one for me, You're Next.
You liked that one the least?
No, I'm doing favorite to least favorite.
Oh, I did it opposite of that.
Why?
Because
I told you.
asked you, and I was pretty sure that was... Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay. My favorite was, number one, You're Next. Number two, Bride of Frankenstein. Number three, Tenebrae. Number four, Misery. Number five, The Fly. Number six, Nosferatu. Number seven, The Silence of the Lambs. Number eight, White Zombie. And number nine, Frankenstein. And 10, Dracula. You're giving me a look.
Uh-huh.
Was there something on there that was not what you expected? Was that exactly your list?
No, not exactly. Pretty close.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to discuss that first and then talk about your list, or...
Yeah, we can talk about your mess.
So You're Next, and this is, we talked about before we started, Heather doesn't understand how there can be a difference between what you think is the greatest to least great versus your favorite to least favorite. To me, those are two very different lists. Because
it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to Heather.
I think you sort of have to be a robot to be able to do that. To, like, be unbiased.
Okay, I thought we weren't going to talk about
you being a robot?
Me being a robot.
All right.
That's kind of a personal...
You can edit that out.
But to me, certain movies they just hit me. They tickle my fancy. They rustle my jimmies, whatever you want to say. And other movies, there are a lot of movies where I respect the movie. I can see why it's a great film, but it's not necessarily my favorite. It's just, it can be the time in your life that you see it. I think if I saw The Goonies for the first time now, I probably wouldn't think much of it, but I saw it when I was a kid, and so I love it. You're Next for me is just it's my favorite of the ones that we've done. It's pretty rare for me to watch a movie multiple times. That may be another thing that's kind of odd about me, is I almost always will go for watching a new movie I haven't seen before rather than one I've seen before, even if I really love the one that I've seen before, and I probably won't like the new one. I just feel like, okay, well, I already saw that. But You're Next, I just find myself from time to time, like if I'm feeling depressed, if I'm feeling down, and I just need, something to watch.
This is your uplifting.
It's my pick-me-up. Yeah, it's like, oh, I look over the movies that I have, and it's like, yeah, I've seen that, and it's like, oh, I haven't watched You're Next in a while, and I'll put that on, and it's just such a fun movie. But yeah, I don't know, it's fun. I love the score. I love the comedic, the way that it blends comedy and gore and horror. I think I really like that. To me, like, I don't know, I mean, a movie that just scares the stuffing out of you is great the first time, like it really messes you up, but then it has to have something else going on in order for you to want to keep coming back to it, right? Because like it's inevitably going to be less and less scary, like exponentially so, the more you watch it. And so the horror movies that I keep coming back to that end up being perennial favorites of mine are like the Evil Dead movies.
Yes.
Where, of course, it's not scary to me anymore, but there's so much more there. It's so funny. It's so lively. There's so much else going on, and I feel like that's the case with your next. It's just like a fun romp. So that's why that's my favorite. Bride of Frankenstein's kind of a similar story. It's hilarious. I love all the stuff with Dr. Pretorius. He's so amazing. The score, the look of the film, everything about Bride of Frankenstein is just so entertaining. It's always something happening.
That one's so high on our list. That was surprising.
And then Tenebrae, we talked about when we watched that has my favorite probably movie score, or at least horror movie score of anything. I listen to the score by itself all the time. And the movie is so colorful and just so visually interesting to watch. And then Misery, we talked about too when we watched that, how like I keep coming back to that one and it becomes more of a comedy.
Yes.
I keep thinking as we're talking about Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice says, I've seen The Exorcist 72 times and it keeps getting funnier every single time. I guess I have something in common with Beetlejuice. I watch these movies and I appreciate more the humor, but the tension too. Misery is like this perfect balance of humor and tension. And
so Misery is your fourth?
That's my fourth. The Fly, I love the special effects. I love the character stuff. I love like we talked about the monologues. I find those like endlessly fascinating, where he's talking about like the plasma pool and all that kind of stuff. But that one more, I guess the reason it's a little lower down is like I have problems with it. We didn't talk about this when we talked about The Fly, and this is a great opportunity for me to continue rambling about movies we've already rambled about for an hour, and say things that we forgot to say. One of them is like the stuff with the computer where he's like talking to the computer is like really dumb. and it just comes with being from the 80s.
Like what?
He's like talking to the computer and he's like, if the second element is a fly, then what came out of the other side of the telepod? And it answers him. It's like, answer Brundlefly. And it's like, okay, so you didn't just build a teleporter, you built fucking Alexa. Like this thing, or you know what I mean? Like you build an AI. It's smart enough to be able to hear, like understand human speech and understand like English grammar and parse your sentence and give you an appropriate answer. Like why? That's double gobbledygook. Don't add that in to a story about, do you know about double gobbledygook? No, it's double mumbo jumbo. I forgot.
Okay.
Double mumbo jumbo is a screenwriting rule where,
oh, is that where they put in it's where they put in like random shit where other stuff is going to go eventually?
No. Double mumbo jumbo is a rule in screenwriting that I've heard of, where basically you can have one thing in your story that is out there and like weird and bizarre. But if you have two things, that's double mumbo jumbo, and at that point you lose the audience. So if you have like a story about vampires, like okay, and you get like 2/3 of the way through the movie, and then the character's about to get eaten by the vampire, but a UFO flies in and abducts the hero and flies away, and then for the rest of the movie they're like dealing with the aliens on the ship. It's like, no, like that belongs in a different movie. It's at that point it's like too stupid, and the audience just loses interest.
40 examples of that now.
Yeah, a lot of movies are offenders, and I think The Fly with the computer is a little like that. But I think it comes with being from the 80s, because they didn't understand computers yet. Like it was before the era when like everyone had a computer in their house, so people would watch it and just see him like talking to the computer, and it's like, oh yeah, that's probably is how computers work, you know.
Yeah.
So there are little things that annoy me, and then also it's just like it's kind of a slow build, and I really enjoy like the last 20 minutes of The Fly, but getting there is not as fun.
I would go the opposite way on that.
And is that all? I think that's all I have to say about The Fly.
For now.
For now. We'll keep coming back to these, so get ready to hear over and over about the same movies.
The next few episodes are just going to be us revisiting the same 10 movies, so...
Nosferatu is my number 6. I enjoy that as well, mostly for the visuals that are so striking and interesting. Not so much the sound, because there isn't any. And it kind of drags in the middle for me. I think the story kind of becomes a little slow once Harker escapes, or not Harker, but Hutter escapes from the castle, and Nosferatu is on his way to Wittenborg or whatever it is. And you get all this stuff with the ship, and then you got the Van Helsing character looking at flies and spiders and stuff, and it's just like
God.
The story kind of, it slows down and then it picks up at the very end again, so that's why that's a little lower down. Silence of the Lambs, I like it just fine, but it's not one of my favorite movies. Not particularly scary to me or whatever. We're getting into the ones that are just kind of like whatever. White Zombie, it's good, I'm fine with it. And then Frankenstein and Dracula, those are like the very early talkies where they feel a little creaky to me. Yeah, they don't have like the humor, even though Frankenstein is by James Whale, and I definitely think it's superior to Dracula. He hasn't started really like throwing in these like subversive comedy elements that he threw into like Invisible Man and Bride of Frankenstein, and like I love like all of his other movies, and I'm not as crazy about Frankenstein, but it's still super interesting to think about the story and everything. Yeah, so let's hear your list.
I'm surprised Dracula wasn't higher on your list.
Really? Because I feel like I keep bringing up Dracula, and it's almost always to say something mean about it.
Really? I don't know. I guess I just thought you liked it more. Maybe I mistook your making fun of it as like being entertained by it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, all of these movies are movies I would put among the greatest horror movies.
Okay, so even the one that you don't like...
Yeah, even number 10.
It's still really good.
It's still really good, and it's still, like, has a lot of iconic stuff that... Yeah. So it's something that sticks in my brain, but I wouldn't... I guess what I'm thinking as I'm thinking favorite to least favorite, I'm thinking, like, which one would I most want to sit down and rewatch right now versus would not, you know? And it's like, I've seen Dracula a lot, and I don't see any reason right now to go rewatch it.
That makes sense.
So what's your list?
Okay, so I have to read them from the one I like the most to the one I like the least.
I mean, that's what I did.
That feels backwards to me, but fine.
I mean, we could do whatever we want.
No, because that would be confusing if I
Yeah, we don't want to confuse our listeners.
I'm already fucking confused.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 1 for me that I like the most is Silence of the Lambs, which you probably predicted.
Because you said that was your favorite before.
Yeah.
So.
2 is Misery. 3 is White Zombie. 4 is Your Next. Is that higher than you expected it to be?
Yeah, I thought it would be at the bottom because you said they would be opposite.
Well, they're not perfectly opposite. Okay. 5 is Dracula. 6 is Bride of Frankenstein. 7 is just regular Frankenstein. 8 is Nosferatu. 9 is Tenebrae. And 10 is The Fly.
Okay. So Tenebrae and The Fly were your 2 lowest.
Tenebrae is only there because I just didn't really get it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't... It's not that I dislike it. It's just it was kind of boring to me. Like, it's not... The Fly I full on will never watch again in my life. Tenebrae is just kind of like... just whatever, Mm-hmm. So they're kind of like wildly different. It's kind of strange that they're right next to each other. Nosferatu, I don't get what I ever saw on it, really.
Oh, wow.
I know at one point I loved it, and this last time we watched it, I was just like, dear God, will this never end? Okay. So
Well, maybe you just have to be in the right mood to see like a silent film.
I I guess. I mean, I loved it so much. I went on a cruise for my 21st birthday, and I watched it twice on that cruise. I was in the cabin watching Nas fucking Ferratu on, one of the 3 channels that you get. What the hell? What was that? I have a weird life.
Well, didn't you say something kind of similar about White Zombie when you watched that?
There's something different there because when I first watched White Zombie, I'm like, oh my god, this is the best movie ever. I'm obsessed. I need to have all those costumes. I'm gonna do my makeup like that. I was just, all in. And then the second time I saw it, it was like 10 years later, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so boring. I have to turn it off. And I was like watching it with a friend. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. But then this last time we watched it, I loved it again. So I don't know. I guess just different phases of my life. It just takes on different forms.
Yeah.
Not really sure. But I didn't have like the same reaction I did the first time where I wanted to like, make it my whole life. But I did really, really like it. So sometimes these things come back around.
What about your number one, Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah.
What is it about that makes it your favorite?
I think that I really love the character of Hannibal Lecter so much, and I love his weird relationship with Clarice, and I really like the suspense of it, and I really like the
suspense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you laughing at me?
No, it's an interesting pronunciation of that word.
What did I say?
The suspense?
Is that wrong?
Like, how many pence do you want? I got some suspense.
What are you talking about? Suspense.
Okay.
You say it.
Suspense.
No, that's pretentious.
Okay. I never realized I was saying it the pretentious way.
You say
all these
everything
years.
the pretentious way.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm not going to say anything if you're going to laugh at me. I don't know. Do I have anything else to say about that?
You got the suspense.
Okay, fuck off. How about that? I don't know. I really like that movie. I like the characters, and there's some plot twists, and it's a feminist message.
Yeah.
So it's got checks all my boxes.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to move on to the next category?
Oh, I forgot there's more lists. Dear God.
Okay. Oh yeah, so many more lists. Why don't you start off the next one? Scariest to least scary.
Okay. I also think that Silence of the Lambs is the scariest. That's my number one scariest. But I think that also has to do... It's a very personal thing for me because it's probably one of the first horror movies I ever saw. So I saw it when I was a lot younger. It's not as scary as Darkness Falls, but it definitely freaked me out when I first saw it. Probably because you don't really know what's coming next. And there's all this talk of like people being skinned and like all this stuff, and you don't know what you're gonna see, and like you never know. Like the next scene could be really gory. You have no clue. So I think that plays a lot into it.
Yeah, like the autopsy scene where they pull the pupa out. Mm-hmm. Like we see the dead body.
Right.
It's like it's very realistic looking. It doesn't look like a prop.
Totally.
It's like, ooh, should I be seeing this? Maybe I can wait outside.
Right. And the head in the jar and, all that stuff. Pretty scary. So the next one on my list is Misery. And, it's scary in a much different way. it's very suspenseful. Are you happy now? Is that right? Okay. Um, and, you know, there's the hobbling scene, which is just, I feel like that scene alone puts it high on the list. It's just so, you cannot watch that. Like, you know, oh, I mean, you can, but it's rough.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's a painful scene to watch.
Okay. 3 is your next. I think I didn't know what to expect at all, and that played into it a lot for me. It's not necessarily like I think you kind of expect there to be jump scares, so then you're like kind of like ready for it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like terrified. I didn't have to leave the lights on or anything, but while I was watching it, I'm just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Oh my god. But I really liked it. So next is The Fly. Not so much scary as in just like offensive to watch. My eyeballs are burning out of my head. I didn't really know where to put that because it's not like I was scared of it. I was just so disgusted by what I was seeing that it's like similar to being horrified and scared, whatever. Anyway, we're done talking about The Fly. 6 is Tenebrae. That's not 6. I'm sorry, I'm reading this backwards. It's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5.
Okay.
I can count. Okay. 6 is Nosferatu. Because there is some scary shit in there.
Yeah, there's some creepy visuals.
Yes. 7 is Dracula. 8 is Frankenstein. 9 is Bride of Frankenstein. And 10 is White Zombie.
Interesting. So why was White Zombie the least scary? Is that like almost not a horror film to you?
Yeah, it pretty much isn't.
I mean, I think we're so inured to zombies at this point. Like there have been so many fucking zombie things.
Yeah, but I mean, the concept of the like Haitian zombie is unsettling.
Yeah.
But I think the scariest thing in that film is just the close-ups of Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
It's like the Dracula effect. It's like, you know, he's just a scary, he can make that face and it's all of a sudden a horror film, you know?
What about just like the idea of someone just turning you into like their doll?
Exactly.
Basically.
That's the unsettling part. It's like, ugh, it's very rapey and just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So a lot of these movies, like, it's hard to put them in the same category.
Mm-hmm.
They're all so different.
Yeah, different kinds of scary. That's a good point. Like gross out versus like stuff like Misery, where it's like painful to watch, but it's not necessarily jumping out at you or anything. It's just like you have to look away versus like jump scares versus unsettling ideas and images that might give you a nightmare. There's all kinds of wonderful things in the films that we watch.
Okay. That's the term I would use.
Okay, so my list is number 1, You're Next. Number 2, Misery. Number 3, Nosferatu. Number 4, The Fly. Number 5, Dracula. Number 6, The Silence of the Lambs. Number 7, White Zombie. Number 8, Tenebrae. 9, Frankenstein. And 10, Bride of Frankenstein.
That list is a lot more similar than, I mean, comparing ours.
Yeah, Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein are down by the bottom of both of our lists. I just don't think the Frankenstein monster is scary to modern viewers.
We both had The Fly at the same place.
Oh yeah, at number 4. Interesting. Yeah, I think.
Oh, and we had Misery at the same place too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the Fly, like Brundlefly, is just not scary to me until the last 5 minutes of the film, where he completely loses his face and he's like a giant fly, and at that point it's like, Oh, I don't want to see that thing in real life.
No.
That is really scary.
Uh-huh.
That's not a guy wearing makeup. Like that's a full on
Yeah.
fucking, human sized fly
Mm.
creature.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's awesome, but it is unset. Like the way that it's like has feelers coming out of its face and then like twitching and like in a kind of
Its
weird
eyes are
way.
like blinking.
Oh yeah, its
It's
eyes still kind of blink.
so ugh.
Yeah, it's beautiful creature design, and there's something about insects. I don't know. As a kid, I loved bugs, and I had a whole giant book of all different bugs, and I would go out with my net and catch them and put them in jars and all this stuff. I loved bugs, but at the same time, sometimes I would have like nightmares about bugs. Like I had this fascination, but at the same time, I'm not one of those people who would have like a pet tarantula and have it crawl on them and stuff. Like,
Mm-mm.
there is something like really at a deep, fundamental, like human level for me that is unsettling and upsetting about like looking at a like an insect, like especially like a spider, like really close up. Just like I guess it's just like when you see a face, like the human brain is looking for the two eyes, the nose, the mouth. Like our brains are so hardwired to recognize other human faces, distinguish them from each other, tell how the person's feeling from tiny little differences in how the face is organized visually. And when you see a face that like, oh, that has like six eyes and they're like not where they should be, and it's like everything is out of where its right place to be a human face. There's something like really upsetting about that, I think, on some level, at least for me. I don't know. I mean, so there are some people that aren't bugged by bugs, but
No, they're definitely creepy.
yeah. So but until then, I the rest of the movie's not scary to me at all.
You know, the further I get away from the film,
Hmm?
the more I just think of it as really depressing. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
makes me like now when I think about it, it just makes me really sad.
Oh yeah, it's like a Greek tragedy.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. I find new ways to hate it every day.
I put it close. I put it high up on my favorites, right? I put it at number 5. Maybe it should be a little higher. I don't know. I think it's great.
Okay.
Uh, what else were we gonna talk about? Dracula. I put at number 5. I think that was that similar to you. Anyway, I put it way higher than Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein.
I have it as number 7.
Yeah, and there's really like just one reason. Well, no, there's really two reasons. The part where the 3 vampire brides go over to Jonathan Harker and they're kind of like all in unison. They're gonna go drink his blood. You know that scene? The beginning of the film.
Yeah.
That scene, that's creepy. That's really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the part where Mina is describing how she woke up in the middle of the night and Dracula was there and he sort of hovered over and she saw his like glowing eyes coming closer to her, and we're just seeing her tell the story in like a close up, and so we can see how she's like remembering it. That's really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Those two parts, the rest of the film is like, not scary at all, but those two parts really, I think, hit it hit the nail on the head for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe I should have put Tenebrae a little higher, but it's just like Tenebrae doesn't scare me. I can see how it's with the gore and everything, but I'm not a gore person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then I think You're Next I put at the top. Again, the gore doesn't get me so much, but like there's some really effective jump scares in that. Like we talked about the one with where he's under the bed. That's like one of my favorite jump scares in any movie.
I didn't even notice, which is saying something because I hate jump scares.
There's not a lot, which I think if there's a lot, then it kind of ruins
They must
the film.
not have been really terrible because I literally fucking hate them.
Yeah.
I can't stand them. It's also cheap. It's a cheap scare. So it must have been done very well. Otherwise, I would have been like,
Yeah, you have to earn it. You can have a few jump scares, but you got to earn them.
yes.
I think it does. I
Don't.
think
Oh, I remember. I'm remembering now. There was like a fake out. There was like a they. You think it's gonna be a jump scare, but then it's like it comes directly afterwards.
yeah,
Right.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get it now.
Um. Okay, and then we'll do most to least influential. So I'm thinking on about influence on later horror films or the horror genre or movies in general. So for me, I would put number 1 Frankenstein, number 2 Nosferatu, number 3 Dracula, number 4 The Silence of the Lambs, number 5 Bride of Frankenstein, number 6 White Zombie, number 7 The Fly, number 8 Misery, number 9 Tenebrae, and number 10 You're Next.
Okay.
So, any of that surprise you?
No, not really. We did pretty similarly, surprisingly.
I kind of debated which to put on top.
There are some things on here that are very deliberate, and then some of them I was just like, well, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I had trouble deciding between Frankenstein and Dracula. They both came out in 31. They were the
Yeah,
two first
exactly.
Universal monster movies. But the thing with Dracula is that Nosferatu came first, and in a
Right.
lot of ways it's just sort of following. It has a lot of the same scenes where the same things happen, and even like the visuals of like Dracula getting out of the coffin and stuff. It's like it's being cribbed from Nosferatu, because I mean Karl Freund, the cinematographer on Dracula, was German. He worked in German expressionist film before he came to Hollywood. So I think that makes it a little less influential, although still like super influential. Like every vampire after Bela Lugosi's Dracula has some kind of debt to Bela Lugosi's performance.
Mm-hmm.
But Frankenstein, I think, even though it came out a little bit later in 31, it was really the film that created the template for the Universal monster movie, with the sympathetic monster that we kind of feel bad for at the same time as we're frightened. That served them very well for the next like 15 years, 20 years. And it sort of became the template for even movies like The Fly. When we were talking about The Fly, he's a sort of sympathetic
That's true.
monster who transforms, who, carries the fainted heroine in his arms over the rooftops. And, there's so many like iconic things that are still around 50 years later. So yeah, so Frankenstein, Nosferatu, of course. German Expressionism was so influential, largely through that film on horror. And Silence of the Lambs, I mean, Hannibal Lecter was named AFI's, the American Film Institute's, #1 greatest villain of all time. I think you can see the influence of the movie and of that character and Hopkins' performance as him in so many like horror movie villains, and outside of horror, even just like dark kind of movie villains, like the mastermind serial killer guy who we kind of like, even though we're scared at the same time. Yeah. And let's see, what else? I put You're Next last, just because like I think it's so recent that it hasn't had time to be very influential. It is part of this like mumblecore subgenre of indie films that has been influential, but I don't think You're Next in particular was. It was just like the one movie in that subgenre that was also a horror movie. So even though that's my favorite of the ones that we watched, I think it is the least historically important. And then Tenebrae, I think the Giallo genre is a lot more important than people give it credit for. But Tenebrae in particular, I don't think is it's not a touchstone. It comes so late in 1982. By that point, the slasher is already, in its heyday. So another one that is one of my personal favorites, but I have to admit, not particularly important. So what about your list?
Okay. First one on my list is Nosferatu. And then I put Dracula right underneath it. And then Frankenstein. And then Bride of Frankenstein. And then Misery. And then The Fly. And then Silence of the Lambs. And then White Zombie. And then Tenebrae. And then You're Next.
Okay, so we kind of agree that Tenebrae and You're Next are near the bottom. You put Silence of the Lambs surprisingly low for how much you like it.
Well,
I thought.
I have to put. I'm not gonna give it special treatment.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I like rate, or I overvalue things like awards. But like, it's so rare for horror movies to get any kind of critical attention the way that Silence of the Lambs did. I think it was influential in that sense too. I talked about how Hannibal was influential, but I also think just the fact that it won all those Academy Awards, it sort of like made the genre more respectable.
I see a lot more references and stuff to the ones I listed before it.
Yeah.
So I have to give credit where credit's due.
Sure.
You know.
And then your number one was Nosferatu, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with. It's like the original vampire movie, and there's been so many vampire movies since then. Not a lot of them have followed in its track as far as presenting the vampire as this like horribly gross creature. Instead of, they more followed the Bela Lugosi version.
Yeah.
But
it's really hard to decide though, because I put Dracula right after it. It was a tough call.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing on my list. I put Nosferatu first for the visual style. Yeah. Okay, and then I think we just have one more category.
You have one more category.
Oh yeah, you declined to do this one.
I opted out because I think you're insane.
So this is the greatest to least. So I have a list. This is kind of what got me into horror movies, is I decided to make this list of 100 greatest horror movies, and then eventually it expanded to the 200 greatest horror movies. And I spend most of my waking hours updating this list and fussing over it. So it was pretty easy for me to rate these because I pretty much just figured out where they already were on my list and put them in that order.
Cheater.
So here we go. The greatest out of the ones that we've seen so far is Bride of Frankenstein. Second, Nosferatu. Number 3, Frankenstein. Number 4, Dracula. Number 5, The Silence of the Lambs. Number 6, The Fly. Number 7, White Zombie. Number 8, Misery. Number 9, Tenebrae. And number 10, You're Next.
Okay.
So, and by greatest, I guess I'm combining sort of all the stuff we talked about, like the quality of the film, how scary it is, how historically important, how original it was, all that kind of stuff. So I put Bride up there. You know, Bride it's not as influential as the first film. It's hard for any sequel to be, you know, as important as the thing it's a sequel to, because, you know, it didn't invent the characters or the situation or anything. But to me, Bride of Frankenstein is the perfect classic universal monster movie. Like, if you only see one in your life, if you only have time to see one of those, I would say see Bride of Frankenstein, because it just has everything. It has like the pathos, and it has the comedy, and it's got amazing visual style. It's got a fantastic score. It's always moving. It never feels creaky. It's past that point in like the early 30s where they were still figuring out how to work with sound and they didn't have scores yet. It's just like, I don't know. To me, it's like a perfect film. So that ended up being the one that's highest up on my list of all the ones that we've seen so far. And then Tenebrae and You're Next are at the bottom, like they were on the influential one, just because, yeah, I mean, they're not that important in the scheme of things, even though I like those movies a lot. Um, Also, I mean, they have problems. I mean, we talked about Tenebrae, how it has some plot problems. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's stuff that I can look past because I really like it. But um, yeah, okay. So I guess we'll uh, close up shop for now.
Sure.
This has been fun.
Yep.
I enjoyed it.
You love lists.
I love lists.
You would just do a podcast about lists.
I love lamp. And for next time, we're going to be watching Lake Mungo. And I promise it's way better than the title implies. We were talking about another list we could do would be like the worst names for horror films. This would be on that list.
List cast.
It's a very deceptive name. You should just go in blind, watch the film, and meet us next time when we'll be discussing Lake Mungo.
Okay. Goodbye. The end.
The end.